What if the biggest reason most of us fail isn't a bad idea or a lack of talent, but something much, much simpler? Today, we're going to explore this really powerful story and the science behind why so many of us stop just short of success.
And this quote, it really hits home, doesn't it? It's this frustrating, kind of painful truth we're diving into. I mean, just think about it for a second. Your biggest obstacle might not be a flaw in your plan at all. It could just be a failure of nerve, stopping just moments before everything is about to change.
Okay, so to really see this in action, we're going to travel back in time. Back to the American Gold Rush, a time of just incredible hope, but also just as much heartbreak. And it's here that the story of a man named R.U. Darby teaches us a lesson that's honestly worth more than any gold.
All right, let's get into the parable itself, 3 feet from gold. I mean, there's a reason Darby's story has been told and retold for like a century. It just perfectly captures that universal human tendency to quit when things get tough, right before the big breakthrough. So it all started with a bang. Darby and his uncle, they actually found a shiny vein of gold ore. Can you imagine? The dream was real. So they did what anyone would do. They borrowed money, they bought all the right equipment, and they started digging. And at first, the returns were fantastic, fueling all their excitement. But then, just as suddenly as it appeared, the gold vein just vanished, gone. They kept digging, drilling deeper and deeper into nothing but disappointment until, well, finally they just gave up.
Yeah, they were utterly broken. They gave up completely. They sold everything, all their hopes, all that expensive machinery, for basically pennies on the dollar to a local junk dealer. As far as they were concerned, the dream was dead and buried. Done.
But the junk dealer was a little more curious. Before he scrapped all that equipment, he did something smart. He hired a mining engineer to just check out the mine. And that engineer, he discovered a simple geological fact. The vein hadn't run out. It had just shifted because of a fault line. The massive, fortune-making gold deposit was waiting just 3 feet from where Darby had stopped digging. Can you believe that? 3 feet!
So this gut-wrenching story, it's obviously not just about gold, right? It's about any big goal we chase. It perfectly highlights that crucial difference between a true dead end and what we can call the quitter's mistake. Giving up on the right path just a little too soon. Napoleon Hill, who famously analyzed this very story, he had a name for this. He called it temporary defeat. And it's that exact moment where the path seems to disappear, the results stop coming, and it feels like a total dead end. But here's the thing. More often than not, it's just a test of your persistence. It's a curve in the road, not the end of it. Okay, so the big question is, how do we find the strength to dig those last 3 feet when every single instinct in our body is screaming at us to quit? Well, it's not just about gritting your teeth and pushing through. There's actually a science to it. So let's open up the toolkit for building the habit of persistence. First up, we have to talk about the power of compounding. Now, we all know how this works with money, right? But it's an absolute superpower when it comes to our habits. Seriously, think about it. You don't become a great writer by trying to write one perfect novel in a weekend. No way. You do it by writing 1 page every single day. It's those small, consistent efforts that, over time, build empires.
So how do you actually do that? Well, here's a really cool, practical method called habit stacking. The idea is you don't need more motivation. You just need a better system. You just link a new, tiny habit to an existing one that you already do without thinking. For example, right after I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute. See? The old habit, brushing your teeth, becomes the trigger for the new one.
And this really illustrates the huge difference in approach. On one hand, you've got these sporadic, big efforts. That's when we get a burst of motivation, go all in for a week, and then we burn out. The results are totally inconsistent. But the other path, the sustainable one, is all about consistent, small actions. They have low friction, they build momentum, and over time, that's where you get those incredible compounding results.
Okay, so we've talked about our internal habits, but what about the world around us? It turns out our environment has a massive impact on our ability to persist. You really have to become an architect of your own environment.
And this quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? The person you'll be in 5 years is based on the books you read and the people you hang around today. Your environment isn't just a passive backdrop, it's actively shaping who you become. I mean, your future self is literally being built right now by the inputs you allow into your life.
So this really boils down to being super intentional about 2 key things. First, your information diet. What are you feeding your mind every day? Is it fuel for growth, or is it just empty calories of distraction? And second, maybe even more important, your social circle. The people around you are either an updraft, lifting you up, or a downdraft, pulling you down. The choice of who gets your time is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
And here's the real secret, the big takeaway. Don't waste your time searching for the perfect environment. Build it. You have the power to design a space where being persistent isn't some heroic struggle, it's just the natural, easy thing to do.
All right, so this brings us to what might be the most profound tool for not quitting. It goes way beyond what you do and focuses entirely on who you are. This is all about identity.
Just look at the huge difference here. When you say, I am trying to quit smoking, you're framing it as a constant struggle, right? An ongoing battle against your own nature. But when you state, I am a non-smoker, you're framing it as a fact of your identity. I am a fit person. I am a writer. One is an action you're trying to force. The other's simply who you are. Because true, lasting change happens when your actions are just a natural outcome of who you believe you are. When your identity is aligned with your goals, persistence almost becomes effortless. You're not trying to be something you're not. You're simply acting in accordance with who you are. And that is the ultimate key to never quitting again.
So, let's end with a question for you. In your career, your health, your relationships, what's your 3 feet? Where are you right now that feels like a total dead end, but might just be a temporary defeat right before the biggest breakthrough of your entire life?